One of the more common questions we get asked when growing up is, what do you want to be when you grow up? These kids are playing with roles like race car driver, artist, chef, musician, soccer player, architect, biologist, gymnast, engineer, fireman, and computer scientist. No telling what these kids will actually do when they grow up. When I was young, I always wanted to build things, so I gravitated to architecture. But that didn't stick once I got to college. The important thing is to do something you love. Don't get caught in the trap of the best pursuits are the ones that pay the best. As a society, this is one of our biggest sources of collective unhappiness. Parents tend to push their kids in this direction instead of listening to what their kids are telling them. Did this happen to you when you were younger? Are you still working to undo a path you didn't really want to go down in life? Let me tell you about a career fair that was held last year at my son's school. There were 40 careers represented. There was one artist, one entrepreneur, and I'm not kidding, the other 38 were doctors, lawyers, and engineers. It was a sad display of potential vocation diversity. On a related note, I recently found this letter on Facebook from a school principal in Singapore who sent it to the students' parents before the exams. It said, "Dear parents, the exams of your children are to start soon. I know you are all really anxious for your child to do well, but please do remember, amongst the students who will be sitting for the exams, there is an artist who doesn't need to understand math. There is an entrepreneur who doesn't care about history or English literature. There is a musician whose chemistry marks won't matter. There's an athlete whose physical fitness is more important than physics. If your child does get top marks, that's great. But if he or she doesn't, please don't take away their self-confidence and dignity from them. Tell them it's okay, it's just an exam. They are cut out for much bigger things in life. Tell them no matter what they score, you love them and will not judge them. Please do this, and when you do, watch your children conquer the world. One exam or low mark won't take away their dreams and talent. And please do not think that doctors and engineers are the only happy people in the world. With warm regards, the principal." The bottom line, there are two incredible gifts that all of us have: time and a creative mind. How do you choose to invest these gifts to generate value for society? How many of you are living your true purpose or living what someone told you would be a good thing for you to do in life? Whatever you choose, make sure you're doing it because it brings you joy. Because as my coach always says, the better you feel, the better your life works. Okay, let's assume that you have discovered and are living your life's purpose. That's awesome. The next worthy goal for everyone is financial independence. Why? Because with financial independence, you can live your life's purpose without the need to worry about bills and expenses. You're free to spend your most precious resource, time, in alignment with the best version of yourself and your life's purpose. Financial independence doesn't mean that you are a millionaire. Financial independence is defined as the point when your cash flow, without effort, exceeds your life expenses. Since we all have the same amount of time every day, then the best way in order to track how you're doing in this game on your way to financial independence is by dollars per hour. This is relatively easy if you earn a wage. You know how much you make per hour. But make sure you include commute time and the time you spend discussing or complaining about your job with others, because all that counts. So, if you weren't born with a trust fund, what is the path to financial independence which would allow you to really fully live your life's purpose? Back to the conversation of creating value. The path to financial independence is to create value to exchange for cash to invest. Repeat until investment income exceeds expenses. This concept is best explained by Robert Kiyosaki's The Creator of Rich Dad Poor Dad cash flow quadrant. What follows is my interpretation based on my experience of Robert's cash flow quadrant. First, let's look at both ends of the path. On one end is the employee. The pros of being an employee is that you have the illusion of security. Boundaries are clear, and it's simple. It allows you to pursue other interests within the confines of your wage or salary. What are the cons? The illusion of security. And you're trading your hours for dollars. There's no leverage. There's many constraints on your freedom because you're living most of your life, waking hours in your life, by someone else's rules. However, since most of the people on the planet are employees, here's a tip on trading your hours for dollars. You get what you ask for in terms of compensation to the extent that you are still within the perceived value envelope of your position. Because it's in their own best interest, business owners and management will almost, not always, but almost always pay you as little as possible to get you to fulfill on your job roles. If you create value beyond your role, then ask for fair compensation. If you don't get it, then look elsewhere, especially if you're creating great value. Somebody's going to want you to work for them. At the other end of the path is the investor. The pros of being an investor are you get to leverage money for more money, which at this point you're financially independent. What are the cons? Boredom. That's why it's important to know your life's purpose. At this stage, you're free to live your life's purpose to the fullest extent possible. But while you're creating value as an employee and as an investor, I believe the opportunity to create the most value is in the middle, being self-employed or a business owner. There are pros and cons to each, so let's take a closer look. The common pro element of either being self-employed or a business owner is that they both provide a vehicle to deliver your gifts and creative genius to the world in a way that the cash flow is not limited by the constraints of a wage or a salary. For a business owner, the pros are you are able to leverage other people's time and money. The cons, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is managing employees. Something I'm not really fond of doing. So on the self-employed end of the spectrum, if done right, the pros are it can be more flexible than being a business owner. You can still leverage other people's money and other people's time via 1099 subcontractor relationships, while at the same time avoiding managing people in the traditional employee model. The cons is that you could be potentially an hourly worker again with no leverage. So the tip here is to avoid pure service-based self-employed models, because in that sense, you're really just trading your dollars for hours. So these kinds of jobs are just hourly jobs in disguise, or these kinds of self-employment businesses are just hourly jobs in disguise. If you're going to provide services, offer value-based packages instead of hourly rates. Build a package-based model of products or services. That way, you're not trading your hours for dollars in a self-employed role. I think this was one of Robert Kiyosaki's biggest complaints about the self-employed business model. So there's some tips for how to do it better. And for a lot more information on how to be self-employed while leveraging other people's time and money, read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. I learned a ton from that book. There are also some massive benefits to being self-employed from an investment perspective, but I'm not going to go into those now. We'll cover those in a future post. So go out and enjoy your week.